Thank you for joining us on this next episode of Just Liberty. I'm here with David Skeel, and we've been talking about law professors, as it were, coming out of the closet, if you will, about their Christian faith and how that impacts their lives and how that is often not communicated. And oftentimes it seems like there's a fear of communicating that. Of course, this law school is one where, by its very nature and definition and identity and mission, it is explicitly Christian. And as long as I'm here, I would like it to continue to be. I would not like to be the one who drops the ball in that regard, but that too is a rare thing in the legal academic world, right? And so this is it's not necessarily common for people to actually talk about their Christian faith in relation to law, in relation to their lives, and to do so publicly.
It really is not. Liberty has a very, very special role in legal education in this country for precisely that reason. And there are a couple other law schools, a number of other Christian schools, and there are all kind of benefits from that. I mean, you really, you're raising up Christian lawyers who are going to have a foundation you can't get anywhere else, and you can talk about things in a way you really can't in a secular university. On a couple of occasions, I've taught summer classes in Christian context, 1 week summer classes, for instance, at Regent in Vancouver, the seminary in Vancouver, or the school in Vancouver. And what a privilege it was to be able to pray before you start a class, to talk not about Christianity from a third person perspective, Christians did this or did that, but to say, as a Christian, this is how I think about this area of law. And you are able to do things that you can't do in a secular university. So it really is an important role that you're playing.
Yes, we actually add 10 minutes to each class above the ABA minimum so that there could be that devotional time in the beginning. But we're also encouraging professors to integrate it into the substance of whatever they teach. But also, I think it needs to extend to how the community, that there should be, they will know that we are Christians by our love, right? And so I think that's an important aspect of it as well. But also being willing to speak out on important issues of justice, and to try to do so, even if it's unpopular, even if it's not something that generally the legal academic world would applaud, to put it mildly. And so I think these are some of the aspects of what we're trying to do here, imperfectly in our humanity, but nonetheless trying and aspiring to that, and to do so in a thoroughgoing way.
It really is an important role, and you can do it in a way that a public university in particular just could not. And even a private secular university is not in a position to do a lot of those things. So it's great work you're doing.
Thanks. And so in the context of the law school that you're in, how do you bring it to bear? Do you talk about it as one perspective in the midst of various perspectives? Do you talk about it in those special talks that you did outside of the classroom? What are the ways in which you do so in a context where it's not generally part of that context, right?
So my answer to that question is I manage it differently or handle it differently in different contexts, as you alluded to. So in my ordinary corporations or bankruptcy class, I typically wouldn't say anything about my faith, and Christianity might not come directly into it. I believe that every square inch of the world is God's, and so I believe that the Holy Spirit is there, but I would not talk explicitly about my faith. When I teach Christianity in law, and I've taught a Christianity in law seminar a number of times, I still mostly do it from the third-party perspective. This is the influence Christians have had on American law. This is how Christians think about things. In a seminar setting, I will let my own view get in a little bit, and my students know where I'm coming from. I'm very public about my faith,
yes.
generally, but I still am pretty careful not to teach the seminar as a Christian, as if I'm expecting my students to share that perspective. When I give a talk about Christianity and some aspect of law, I'm coming at it explicitly as a Christian. I'm saying this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I think the relevance is for the particular topic I'm talking about. So it really is different in different contexts, but it's only that last one where I'm completely coming at it from a first person, I am a Christian, this is what I think, perspective of the sort that you and your colleagues would do every day in class.
You know, I've heard various Christian law professors talk about they'll sort of come out after getting a tenure track position, after getting a promotion, after getting tenure, and sometimes it seems like after either doesn't come, or after erodes away, or after is always some major professional goal in the future away. Would you speak to that? I mean, in terms of, because this is something I've commonly heard among Christians in the legal academy.
My reaction is very similar to yours. It seems to me that if you take the position, I'm going to talk about it down the road, there's a real danger that you're going to get used to the world where you're not talking about it, and you never will get to that place down the road. And so I've seen that sort of thing happen too. I do feel as though I should say that in some disciplines, I do think people have to be careful. I mean, in a secular university, if you're in one of the sciences, if you were to be explicitly Christian about what you're doing, there would be real professional repercussions. And I don't think that, I think it's wise for people to be careful in those sorts of situations. But most of us are not in that environment. I'm not in that environment. I've never felt in the law school environment that I couldn't say that I was a Christian, that it was going to somehow destroy my career. And I really do think there's a risk, as I said at the beginning of this answer, that if you don't talk about it in the beginning, you're not going to talk about it in the end.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Liberty. We will be following up, I think, with maybe one or two more segments.